Hello. Hello. I think you're hearing me now. Welcome, divine being. Welcome. Ah, let's start our talk of today. Welcome, everyone. This is the True Self Talk that happens every Tuesday and Thursdays, where the goal is not to bring you any more absolute truths, but rather to open space for new perspectives, new perceptions, so our questions can change. I am Ella Morello. This is the episode number 71 called Resignifying Our Past for a Promising Future. And before we start, I want to remind you that a couple of times a year, I give spiritual and self knowledge workshops online for free. And in order for you to participate, just keep tuned into our social channels everywhere, because we're gonna let you know whenever these workshops are available. And I know that a lot of you are new here, and you can ask yourself, well, will Ella be able to help me in whatever my goal is regarding my life, my spiritual life, my self awareness, my self knowledge? And hello, Barbara. And I wanted to talk a little bit about this. In my life, I have been to dark places, and I have tried so many different healing tools, so many different philosophies. And what can I tell you about that is whenever I was in this dark place, in the level of consciousness that I had in that time, I really wanted for some kind of answer. I was really looking for someone to get me by my hand and, if possible, take that pain away from me. That was truly what I was looking for. And that's why I have started to, study all the courses in the planet, because that was the most important thing for me, was to get rid of that pain. So you name it, seriously. Astrology, energetic astrology, Reiki for the womb, quantum physics, how to work on your chakras. Let me study crystals and herbs right now. So for real, I just tried everything. And the reality is, after some time, I understood that those tools, they are simply tools that you are there, you learn, and when you put in practice, obviously you have to put into practice, they will help you. However, as more as you keep evolving in this life, because life is not simply going to stop throwing you challenges, right? But you're going to be in another level of consciousness. And the idea here is for you to be able to use all these tools in order to leave that hole by yourself. It's super important for you to look for help, to have someone, a professional maybe, uh, there for you, helping you out. But please remember that this is a process, this is a journey that we walk in order to keep evolving. And you will see that every time you get closer to your true self, that's how I like calling it, uh, more you remember, because truly it's about remembering all the power that you have inside in order to change your life. So if I'm going to be able to help you, well, what I can tell you is I am a person that have changed completely by being there in the hole and learning how to walk my way through it, to re-signify the life. And for that, I have, anyways, right now I have my own way, because after so many years of study, I have put together things that are easier for me. They are replicable because I have tried them on my clients, and it's something to be simple, because if not, it becomes a lot of theory that we have in our mind. And what would be, seriously, would be of any value if I had the most experiences in the forest I went to live in the middle of the forest with indigenous people, you know, and here I am there in that place, accessing so many things. I have done so many experience with great shamans. I have met this great person, this coach, this witch. Would that be of any value if I didn't use those things in order to transform my life? I don't think so. Because theory, that's what we are taught in school. You learn a lot, honestly, you pass the test, go back and try to remember if you really remember everything that you have learned. So my invitation with these talks, again, as I already said, is not to bring you more absolute truths, much let alone with my workshops. It is for me to be able to access a part on you, with you, where you remember, where you are going to learn the tools in order to take you out, to do that little change, the little turning the key, you know, that changes the whole life. So thank you for being here, sharing with me your most precious resource that you have, which is your time. And today, let's dive into how can we resignify our past? Because it's really important for us to look back in order to be able to move forward. Why? It's really common nowadays that people come to me and say, I'm anxious. I have depression. Okay, great. These are the symptoms, right? That's what we can identify. But the cause of that anxiety and the cause of that depression is actually back here. And in order for us not to feel this anymore, we have to go back to here, to this root, and work on this. So we are not going to feel this, right? It's just the example as I told you about, okay, I had all this great experience with these people. If I didn't use that to change myself to be the best version that I can be today, what would be truly the benefit? It's the same thing. I can take a pill not to feel anxiety. I can take a pill not to feel depressed. Okay, let me tell you something. In 3 days, you that thing that is causing all of this is going to still be there, and you're still going to have to deal with that. So the invitation of this work will always be, let's go to the root cause. Yes, let's work on the symptoms. I am anxious right now. Great. Let's use a breathing technique that I learned. Great. Now you're calm. But just don't have the illusion that this is not going to happen again. It is this is not just this is not going to happen again only if we go there and treat the root cause of the problem, right? So I want to start this talk by saying no one can make you feel inferior without your consent. I'm going to repeat that, please. Pay attention to what I'm saying right now. No one can make you feel inferior without your consent. In reality, no one can make you feel anything without your consent. And you're going to tell me, no, that's, or you're going to think, yes, that's obvious, or you're going to say, of course not. If the person comes to me and start cursing on my face, obviously I'm going to feel something. Well, we're talking about you. Why? If someone says something to you and that hits you and that make you feel some kind of emotion, this is telling us something about you, not about what the person is saying. For example, if someone comes to me and say, Ella, you are a terrible person. You are the worst human being I ever met. In reality, I swear to you, I'm going to look at that person. That's not going to make me feel anything. I know. I truly know who I am. So maximum, I'm going to be like, I'm sorry you see me this way. But that's it. I'm not going to be ruminating about this. That's not going to affect me. However, if someone comes to me and say, Ella, you know, uh, you are aggressive. There is sometimes that you are aggressive. Let me tell you something. I know that I am still working on how to canalize my rage. So sometimes I am aggressive. So that comment of that person is going to take me personally. And I'm going to start ruminating, like, probably I'm going to start defending myself. Like, hey, but who do you think you are to tell me this? You also are aggressive. Just this answer is literally, okay, it hit me. somehow inside of me, even if it is unconscious, I know that's true, and I'm trying to defend myself. I just gave you two examples for you to understand what I mean by no one can make you feel inferior without your consent, without your consent. And this happened to us so many times in this world that we live in right now. This Instagram, this social media, everything is so fast. We're constantly comparing us to others. I should be doing more. I should be posting more. I should. We are. And then we feel inferior, right? Maybe even unconsciously. Or, oh, I don't deserve this. There's so many routes that this can take, and we're constantly comparing. But do you know what is so interesting for me? That we human beings, we do that all the time, most of the time unconsciously. And by the way, do you know the craziest part is sometimes we do that with people that we don't even admire, with people that we don't even know their stories. We don't know what is behind that. We create these illusions, so truly, it never truly matter what the situation is, what the other person is. The other person is simply a mirror talking about us. You know what I mean? So I want to invite you to think about one situation that is taking your peace away. Any situation that you're going through right now or whatever. It can be an end of a relationship. It can be a relationship. It can be your boss. It can be your work situation. It can be, oh my God, I started my business, but somehow I don't think I deserve, so I'm not getting the results. Whatever it is that is taking your piss. And I want you to think with me right now. You can blame, okay? We do that, okay? That's humans. So stay with me. We can blame God. We can blame the situation. We can blame the others. We can blame our luck. We can blame everything outside of us. Oh, even that one is a good one. That's a no, but that person has more time. That person had more privileges. That person. Do you see that? It's not even about if what we are telling ourselves is true or not. But what we can be conscious about this when we start thinking in this way, that really the problem is in the other person, is the situation, is our luck, we start feeling powerless. Because you know what? It's situations that we cannot control, right? And we can all agree that we are in our victim. Why are we so much in our victim? Why do we feel? And I'm not saying that you're not feeling. And by the way, your brain is so freaking smart that it's going to give you the best justifications for you to justify how wronged this situation was and how unfair this is to you. Don't get me wrong. I'm not even questioning if it is, if it's not. What I'm telling you, see your victim, observe your victim. Because it's only through us observing that and going through the pain, learning how to not try to avoid, not try to pretend it's not there. That's only when we go through it that we can re-emerge from our highest power. So I first see my victim. Hello, my victim. I'm seeing you there. I know you're suffering. I feel you. You're me. I'm feeling it. Great. Now let's work through this pain. Whenever we do that, we re-emerge. But we don't know how to do that. Why? We avoid pain at all costs. That's that part of us that is simply trying to defend us. So we're going to have to retrain ourselves in order to be able to want to be in that uncomfortable situation, to want to be in that pain. Because think with me, when you feel joy, you literally are there having a nice moment and you're feeling joy and you're like, oh, you are not literally, you don't stay there like, oh my God, I cannot stop feeling this joy. I cannot stop feeling this joy. Ha ha ha, I'm not going to stop laughing. You are not there like that. You simply leave that moment. You are in that moment. You let that moment pass through you. And whenever that moment is gone, it passes. You don't try to keep holding on it. If you go back at home and you had a great day, you even might feel that great joy and you're grateful for that, but you're not trying to hold to that emotion. So look at this, how us humans are so interesting. We don't want to feel the pain in this way that I'm telling you, which is it passes us through and we let go. No, what we do is We try to avoid it, we hold it, and we keep ruminating about that thing. If something bad happens to you, tell me if that's not what happens. Something bad happened to you and you are there. Like you go back, and even though you're trying not to think about it or whatever, somehow you're in the shower and you're thinking about that. How you could have done it differently, how you should have answered differently on what that person deserves, or look how this is insane. We keep holding to something we don't even want. So for me, it really sounds rational for us to learn how to feel the pain, just like we feel the joy and it passes us through. Feel the pain, passes it through, and re-emerge from your victim into your highest power. Am I telling you that this is easy? No, I am not telling you that this is easy. This is going to require you effort. Why is that? Because you have been doing like this for your whole life. That's how your brain is wired to do. And this is the reason why is for many reasons, honestly. We have everything we have learned in our childhood, um, that is imprinted in our unconscious. And I'm gonna get into a little bit more uh, into the causes of why we feel this way. Okay, so you can start understanding me a little bit better. For example, I'm gonna talk about three things, okay, that might be responsible for that. And I want you to catch yourself on those points. Try to see what do you believe about that, okay? So, one, karma. Let's think about that. Karma. It's a lot said about karma, there is even the dharma, but anyways, karma in Hinduism or Buddhism is truly means like it's viewed as deciding okay, I'm sorry. I'm gonna read for you. The sum of a person's actions in these and previous states of existence, viewed as deciding their fate or future existence. Meaning, whatever you seed is what you're gonna harvest. It is a follow effect from a cause. A lot of people believe that karma is something bad. Oh, this is bad karma. I don't even know if people that says that really knows what karma is or not. Doesn't I, That's not the point. The point is, we believe in the story about karma, and we see karma as something like that has to be avoided. That's pain. And I want to invite you to look at karma that, in my conception, in my validations of life, it exists. Because honestly, I have gone so deep and every day deeper. And I am sure that I have pains that are not from my existence right now. I also know I have talents and wisdom that I have not learned in this life. So this is me constatando, it's my validations through my own experiences. So if you believe in karma or not, I'm inviting you to see karma as a lesson you haven't learned, and you are having an opportunity to learn right now. Don't see as something that is going to be bad. It is like, okay, there is something on here that I still haven't learned, and I'm getting the opportunity to learn again. I can learn from the path of love or from the path of pain. If I am alert enough to catch the insights, probably I'm going to learn with more ease, with more love. If I'm still resistant, and that's the word, resisting the lesson, I'm probably going to feel much more pain. Okay, so one of the reasons that we feel powerless, that we don't know how to actually allow these negative emotions to come through us, are, one is karma. Second one, the way we live in this reality. So the way we are taught, as we are talking here, our society, the way we go to school, what we learn, we are learned, even religion, honestly, it teaches us somehow unconsciously, and it gets imprinted here, that we are powerless. Let me give you an example. We believe that religion comes and tells us that God is separated from us, right? And then we are there like praying for a miracle. Not even going to get into this topic right now because I believe in miracles in different ways of what miracles. Anyways, the point is, let me give you a more tactable example. If I never study medicine and I go to church and I pray every day to become the best cardiologist in the country. Is that going to be possible? Is a miracle going to happen? No. I have never studied medicine. There is no way I'm going to become the best cardiologist in the country. So, when we believe in this blind faith, okay, I'm asking God to actually do something in my life because I'm not doing anything. This is blind faith. Let's bring another, for example, in the school. You're not taught to think. You're not taught to think. You're taught to follow. You go there, you memorize that book. Even if you're not good in learning, you memorize the thing, you pass the test, you're good. You are not really taught to think outside the box. We're taught to follow. What does this makes us feel? I don't have power. So if I don't have power, if I believe since I was born that I don't have power, I'm subject to luck. I'm subject to good and bad of other people. I'm subject to situations because after all, I don't have any power. Keep that in mind. The third one and the last one I want to talk about this is our ancestors and the collective unconsciousness. So our ancestors, we carry within our DNA the pains and the gifts of our ancestors. Okay, so this is also added to that, into our evolution, to our story. Besides our own stories that we have processed, we also carry those information. Okay, the collective unconscious. And I want to give you a couple of examples of the collective unconscious so you understand what I'm trying to talk about collective unconscious in this talk. Okay? Collective unconscious is, if you're not familiar with the term anyways, it's like, let's imagine a pool of knowledge that we all share. We all as human beings, rational human beings, we share. And we can all make downloads, bring downloads through that. Right? There's also something that we label in my line of work as image, which is something we all believe somehow. For example, archetypes are present in our collective unconscious, meaning if I tell you that woman is a lion mother, even though you have no idea who I'm talking about, what I'm talking about, you might have this understanding that, oh my God, lion, oh, so she's really taking care of her kids. Or maybe she's even like savage, wild, and she's going to do whatever it takes to save her kid. Do you understand? Those are archetypes. There are so many things in our collective unconscious, for example, and we have been dealing with this for thousands and thousands of years. Our ancestors, that's why I put them together, they also believed on that. Let me bring an example about women. Okay, back in the day, my grandmother, okay, just not to go that far, but for example, women were raised in order to, I'm going to take care of the house and I'm going to procreate and I'm going to nurture my family. Okay, then came my mother generation. Oh, now women can study. Now women can take decisions. So we changed that aspect. Now we are in my generation and we are still being influenced by all these aspects. And even though we are in the 21st century, we are right now like, oh, woman, we can talk. Listen, you're listening to me. We're exchanging ideas. I have my work. For me, is a decision right now. Oh, I want to focus in my career or I want to constitute a family. It's a decision right now that we have how to share bills with the person that is our partner, for example, and so on. However, it's still imprinted somewhere inside of us. There is this belief that a lot of times we don't look at it, that somehow we are our value is related to something outside of us. It might be a role we play, for example, a role of a businesswoman, a role of a mother, a role of a wife, or it can be attached. Well, let's leave it attached to roles. Okay, the point here for us that I'm trying to bring in this talk is our self-responsibility. Okay, whenever we understand that we are and we start tapping into our self-responsibility, this will bring our power back. Okay, so we already know it takes effort. It's not going to come. We cannot simply pray and don't do anything. That's not going to happen. So we have to put our willpower into work, because this will require deconstructing years of believing in illusions taught by our society, our family, whatever we carry in our DNA by our ancestors, whatever is in the collective unconscious, and whatever karma we are bringing from another time, place, and space. Okay, with that being said, I want to invite us to start resignifying our past to build a different future. And there is something really nice that I always love doing, which is whenever I'm confused or whatever, I'm in deep pain or whatever, anyway, something is going on with me, I look at nature. And if you follow my work, you know that by now. And I observe nature, because nature is so wise. Like, seriously, we humans complicate everything. Our brain, to be honest, right? Because as we talk in the live, we have two. Our heart has the same amount of neurons that our brain, but we are just taught to use our brain. And our brain does what? Separates. That's what it's there to do. Our brain labels things. Nature, no. So I invite you to look at nature. This helps me get into contact to the intelligence of my heart and of my mind, because I'm much more than my mind. I think, therefore I am. No, this is old beliefs, right? You know what I'm talking about here. Anyways, looking at nature. Whenever there's a storm in nature, okay, let's bring this analogy to our life. Whenever there is a huge storm in nature, and you look later, not in nature, a storm. You look the images after, you will see like a lot of houses in the floor, probably like everything is destroyed. But you will notice that a couple of trees are still standing. And you are like, whoa, a tree is still standing and all these buildings are in the floor. What does this tree is telling me? Whenever I'm in storm of my life, if I am grounded, I'm gonna pass that storm. The only reason the tree stays after a hurricane is because, I don't know if you know this, but as bigger as the tree is, bigger and deeper is its roots, right? So why those huge trees are still there after storm? Because they are rooted, they are grounded. So I invite you to start in this way today. I'm inviting you to look at your groundedness. Are you grounded? And I'm going to use this word in this talk by trusting yourself. I want to invite you to ground yourself, to trust yourself, trusting that you have the ability to survive in the world, to feel safe and feel held by your own two legs that walk in this ground, and walk by following the direction of your heart. Okay? Now, going back to what I was trying to say about the roles, right? There are so many women, and I want to bring women because I want to tell you everything I share here with you is what is where I have been able to access within myself. Because I had the questions and I was able to go look for the answers within myself with many different tools. So I'm going to give you the woman example because that's what happens with me as well. And there are a lot of women that believes that in order for them to feel safe, she needs to send her roots or sense of value into impermanent things, such as our partners, our kids, our job, even our youth. You have no idea how many older women come to me and say, and they are rooting their value in their youth. And it's so hard for them to look in their mirror and accept that time has passed. Okay, so in the same way I told you about the roles, somehow this comes from our collective unconscious because our nature is to serve, is to nurture. But no one taught us that we have to nurture ourselves first. If we don't do that, we are not going to be able to give the other. Even if you are thirsty and I have a glass, I might want to wish you all my heart. I want to help you. I want to give you water if I don't have water. I cannot give you water as much as I want. So, how am I going to be able to nourish you if I'm not nourishing myself? But somehow we forgot that. So, we see our sense of value rooted in something outside of us. Nothing could bring us further away from our own power. Do you agree with me? So, two things we do. Well, we put our roots and worthiness, our values, into something outside of us. And and also it's not uncommon that we define our sense of connection to others uh, to how much we give to them, to how much they validate us. And what we do, our internal, that internal little voice that is here, and we know it's here because so many times, every time you feel a discomfort, every time something is not good, you hear, you know it, but you don't give voice to that. You know what you do? I might be crazy. No, this person is great. No, my job is great. I might be crazy. Who do I think I am? To be wanting to change my life, to change job, do you think I'm crazy? Look what we do to us. We are so much putting our power outside that we do not allow our wild woman, our higher self, our little voice in our head, which is who we truly are. We don't give voice to her. We give voice to everyone, even people we don't know, but we don't give voice to our own internal voice. Interesting. So pay attention to whenever, catch yourself when you see yourself defining, making a definition of yourself wrapped in roles that you have: mother, wife, businesswoman, whatever roles you identify with, daughter, son, whatever. So I want to invite you right now to take a moment with me. Close your eyes, take a deep breath in, and feel where you have rooted yourself into others. Take a moment to feel. Check, where are you creating your sense of self? Where you're creating your sense of safety? Where you're creating your sense of belonging outside of your being? See the people, see the situation, see the things, maybe your job. And I want to invite you to literally imagine a root coming down your spine and see yourself attached to those things, people, situations. What is the sense of safety? Who are you expecting that from? Where are you expecting the recognition of your value? Is it from your kids? From your boss? What is it? See all your roots going and getting attached to these people and situations. And right now, you're going to invite this woman that is inside of you. Call it however you want to call it. Wild woman, higher self, little me. I don't care. Label as you want. See that person getting a knife and cutting all the roots that connect your sense of power to something that is outside of you. Cut it. Now we're going to start calling all your power back to you. See your heart growing stronger and stronger in this golden light. Take a deep breath in. Let it out. Come back with me here. I'm going to share a meditation on my other channel with you to get more into this releasing cords. And let's go back to using our brain. Know that every time you see yourself doing that, every time you catch yourself, oh, I'm expecting that person to recognize me. In that second, if you can, imagine yourself, put the root, cut the root. ground yourself to the ground, to the center of earth, and get that energy coming back into your body and going back down to earth. I have this exercise I'm going to share with you. It's really powerful, but I wanted you to know right away how to use this tool to help you go back to your power. So now uh, that we kind of know where we're seeing our value outside of us, I want to invite us to start releasing old stories. And first, obviously, we need to catch ourselves telling those old stories in our head. Okay? So I'm going to give you an example so you know what I'm talking about. Any story, can happen with any story. Let's say, I'm going to give you a personal story. Someone once stole money from me, a lot of money from me. And not to get in so many details, this was a process for me for more than a year, a really hard process for me for more than a year. Because I kept replaying that story in my mind so many times. And it started first with their rage towards the other person. So that person is this, that person is that. I hope that person burns forever. This is the first part, was rage. Then it happened the second part of that story in my head, which was I start blaming myself. How could I have been so naive? How could I be so ignorant? Where was I that I haven't seen this? So now it changed the whole thing, but here I am beating myself up, right? I'm telling you the parts of that story. And then I reached another level of that story, which was, okay, all of these stories that I'm telling myself, they are true. And by the way, I'm telling you, it took a year. Okay, don't. I'm not saying that for you it's going to take a year. It takes the amount of time it takes for us to release an old story is the exact same amount that we have resistance over that story. So as I'm sharing with you, I gone through the first part of it, rage. Then I'm like, I am an idiot, self-blame. Then I became the victim. Every time I start hearing the story I was telling myself, I felt sorry for myself. And I know we do this. And we also know that this is not taking us anywhere, right? It's not. But I'm going to be honest with you. I knew all of this. However, when you are in the situation, be kind to yourself. Be loving towards yourself, because if you're not being able to release that story today, that's fine. You're going to try a little bit today and a little bit tomorrow and a little bit after tomorrow until you have the breakthrough. It took me a year to have this breakthrough because this was one of the hardest stories I ever been through. It was a shock. I got into literally a state of shock that I could not respond. I could not talk. That was the level I was caught up off guard, really. So I'm not saying that in every story that's my thing. But if you really get another story that doesn't get you in that pain so much, and you will see that you might see the same characteristics, but not in that intensity, not with that much resistance, and that's completely fine. The invitation here is, it took me 1 year to be able to tell this story to myself from a different point, which is, this happened. I'm ready to let go of that story. And how I'm going to bring my power back in that story. Okay, now I know in which points I was naive, in which points I was folgada, which means lazy, to look twice, in which points were easy for me to trust someone and don't be there like really checking if what that person is doing with that money, for example. It was easier for me. Okay, I take responsibility for that. What have I learned from this experience? Oh, wow. I can see that I look at that person and I see that that person simply act in the level of evolution that person is. I'm not that person. I truly don't wish anything bad to that person. If that person did that to me, it's because that person has such a huge pain regarding money, let's say, that that person is going to have to do in their life. That's not my pain. So I let go of those stories. I let go of the victimism and I try to recreate the story, okay, from a place where I can get power, where I can learn the lesson. Beyond honestly, at this point, that I thought that that lesson was about money. I'm, and my dear, let me tell you something. It's way beyond that. Money was just the surface of the thing. It happened through the money. But I had what I learned is, oh wow, even on my most shocking time in my life, that you wake up and you're like, what happened? I was able to stay true to my essence. I was able to do what while everybody around me was telling me, go to the lawyer, go to this, go to that. And people are like putting you more rage, more rage. I was like, I took a step back and I was able to follow my heart in what I thought I should be doing. That for me is is has much more value than literally the money I lost. Because now I want to see I gave that money for this lesson and many other lessons that, anyways, I'm talking too much today. So another example I want to give is from a client of mine that can be less intense. Okay, which is not even honestly less intense. She had this a husband and he cheated on her. And she starts seeing herself as a victim, like, I did something wrong. He did the worst thing he could have ever done to me. I don't deserve this, blah, blah, blah. And I invited her in order to release that old story, to rewrite that story from a different point of view. And what she wrote was, this affair is the needed catalyst for us to talk about what is not working in our relationship, for it to become solid. What I'm trying to tell you here is, it has nothing to do with the other person. This rewriting and releasing of old stories has to do with you reclaiming your internal power. Because in the moment that you are able to tell you the story from a different point of view, you're not lying to yourself. Think with me. When I told you about my example, in the first part that I was going through that pain, that was my level of conscience. I could not do anything different than feel rage. So that was the truth for me. In the second part, where I rewrote that story, I could not feel rage and I could not feel wronged because I truly got all those lessons and gifts and I changed it as a person for the better, in my opinion, because of that story. Both stories are true. So which one do I want to tell myself? Which one do I want to be energetically connected with? That's where your power lies. That's where, when we stop being the victim of the circumstances and the world, and we come back to having the power to be able to change our life, to be able to deal with our depression, which is when we are on the past, or with our anxiety, which is when we're living in the future. Releasing old stories, whatever story it is, whatever case it is, whatever intensity it is, will help you do the little turn, overcome that, and start aligning yourself energetically with what you want to manifest, with your desired future. That's where your power lies. Okay, so the most important thing, if you want to get anything out of this talk, the most important thing and exercise that I hope you have learned and put into practice is catching yourself. Listen to yourself. What do you tell yourself? What do you tell others about that story? I also realized that back in the story, whenever I was telling myself this story to others, I was telling from this place of poor me. Whenever I change that story inside of me and I start telling people from this point of view that empower me, instead of making me be ruminating, that's what we were talking in the beginning of the talk, about the pain that I simply didn't allow to go through. I stay there ruminating, like if that would change my past. So the invitation is understand what is the story you're telling yourself. See if that is energetically aligned to what you want. Okay, so pay attention how you tell the story to other people as well. Make sure what you say matches your wanted energy. That's the lesson, the insight of today. So if you want to share with me your thoughts, please do so. And I will see you again next Thursday. Thank you so much for being here. Okay, I will see you soon. Bye bye.